Collective resolve and decision this afternoon raise the bar and improve the respect for women in politics. Mr. Speaker, similarly, may it strengthen Parliament. 2 points. In the House of Commons, when the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Boris Johnson, the one who led Britain to exit the EU, he was one of the most remarkable leaders in the history of the European Union. But when he was found with misdemeanor going to a party against COVID-19 rules, and then he was asked to speak to it, he misled the House instead of admitting and saying, "I am sorry." And for that reason, the Prime Minister was put before the Powers and Privileges Committee of the House of Commons, the equivalent of this committee that we are debating today. And powerful as he was, he submitted himself and presented evidence, and using a team of competent lawyers, and he was removed because they were protecting the House of Commons. Senator Gloria has been given an opportunity to go and defend herself on her allegations. She has refused. What do you call it? It's called, in English, it's called contempt. She was contemptuous of the committee. And as if it was not enough, Mr. Speaker, she was contemptuous of the clerk's team because her accusations were leveled against the CEO. And Mr. Speaker, going on the social media group, she was equally contemptuous of all of us. So we have to protect this House by agreeing with the committee. Number two, the woman. And I want to speak mainly to the nominated senator from Samburu and the nominated senator from Mombasa. You are young people, and we love young people because we have some in our houses. Mr. Speaker, it's up to them. They can say and say the good things they have said, but as with the benefit of hindsight, many years of experience, we want to guide them as follows. Instead of you pursuing that trajectory, go and read tonight the story of Grace Onyango. Grace was the woman who broke the glass ceiling for a woman to be elected MP in Kenya. She was truly a graceful Luo woman. Mr. Speaker, let them tonight go and read the story of Chelagat Mutai. Chelagat Mutai was a great woman. She is a hero of the second liberation of this country. She was detained, she was exiled, but Chelagat Mutai never walked on her knees. Who are these young people who want to lecture us when we know the story of Chelagat Mutai? Mr. Speaker, tonight, these young women should go and read the story of Phoebe Asio. Phoebe Asio was in this house. Phoebe was a great woman. She was MP, and because of that distinction, Phoebe was named ambassador to the UN in charge of development funds for women in the world. Give us a break. If you have time, and you must have it, young senators, women, go and read the story of Professor Wangari Muta Madai from Nyeri. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She was an MP in Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, bear with me. I want to move along with these young people. They think they say anything about them. If the young lady from Meru, if I just give you the photograph of Zinzi, my daughter, you look the other way. She is something. And let me tell you guys, we have to talk to these young people the truth. We are training them to do it better. We were trained by Michael Kijana Wamalwa, yes, Martin Shukuku, yes, and George Anyona. That's why we are good.
Senator Mboni Khalwale.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
With your experience as a registrator.
Yes.
And as seen in this house, avoid calling honorable members people. And
sorry, I'm very sorry.
Women.
Sorry, I thought when I say young people, it was respectful, but yeah. I recall those words.
Just refer to them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, sir, when I quote the name of my daughter, Zinzi, we named her after Zinzi Mandela, the daughter of Nelson Mandela. The daughter of Nelson Mandela is one of the most decent people in South Africa. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to appeal to the nominated senator from Mombasa. One of the greatest senators in the history of this Senate is nominated Senator Agnes Zani. Tonight, go and read the story and the contribution of Dr. Agnes Zani in this house. Don't talk about youth, women, youth, women. What kind of youth, what kind of woman? It is what you should be telling us. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will not stop without reminding ourselves that the first woman to run for president, Charity Ngilu, has been in this space. She has never abused anybody. She just looks for votes and she defeats men. Mr. Speaker, sir, the first woman to break the glass ceiling.
Senator Boni, Senator Hezena Lemaretian, do you have a point of order? What is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order for Senator Boni, with all his wisdom and experience being in this house as an elder, is it in order for him to keep referring to us or to address you directly? And secondly, why is he using this opportunity to label us and character assassinators and compare us to other people? The fact that we rose on the floor of this house to defend a woman whom I termed as assertive does not mean you start attacking the person of my character. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I leave it to you, but if you allow me, let me help her. That in standing orders is called being frivolous. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to conclude this paragraph.
Senator Hezena is equally the age of Sinzi. So handle her with a lot of care. With
okay, so let me help her.
Yes.
I want to carry you along. I'm carrying you along, my daughter. And I can assure you, I'm very tough on my daughters. And I'm not saying they are good, but I'm very tough on them. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want these people who are driving this gender thing to know that there is a great woman in this country. She's old. She's called Nyiva Mwendwa. Nyiva broke the glass ceiling. Nyiva became minister. And Nyiva, for all the years she was in this parliament, I was with her here in the 9th parliament, she never said that a man is looking at me. Nyiva is truly beautiful. Yes. And because of those many words, Mr. Speaker, because of those many words, let me tell parents out there, and the parents who are in there, all the time, tell your daughters that before you get a partner who could possibly marry you, a man must approach you sexually. So when he's approaching you sexually, it means he's harassing. It doesn't mean he's harassing you. He's trying his luck. It is up to you to say, no, I don't want. And it ends there. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to appeal to all of us, including the men, about these clerks you are seeing.
Senator Boni Carol, there's a point of information from Senator Beatrice.
Beatrice.
Do you want to be
Thank you, Mr.
informed?
Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Boni,
Yeah.
for allowing me to inform you that you needed to add, on top of the gracious women you have named, just say they are people, they have beauty with brains. Beauty with brains. Some of the beauties have no brain. That is the information of.
Mr. Clerk, Mr. Speaker, sir, I didn't know what was coming. I want to appeal to all of us, my colleagues, with maximum respect. These clerks who are seated here, it's just a question of making a decision. They can become senators. They can become MPs. They can become presidents. Let us stop looking down on them. After all, in my community, Honorable Wafula, he was a clerk here processing our visas and passports. Wafula became the Member of Parliament of Elders. In this house today, the Member of Parliament of Matungu in Kakamega, Honorable Peter Oscar Nabulindo, was a clerk here. I want clerks to be free. I have just come from Finland and Estonia, and we were just the two of us. Clerk, young Kavata, and myself. Supposing young Kavata then took to social media and said, when we were there, yule mzee alijaribu kufanya kitu. Mr. Speaker, we have to discourage this. Finally, this problem of name dropping on sexual grounds is extremely dangerous. When they were unable to contain Dr. Martin Luther King, the way some people in this parliament have been harassing Nyegenye for years, when they were unable to contain Dr. Martin Luther King, they said that the great
Senator
moral
Boni,
leader.
where we are at the moment, let's avoid mentioning staff by their names, especially staff.
Thank
Please
you.
avoid that.
I said Nyegenye because his name is in
where
this.
you went with a staff member because, it's not important.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I'm guided, but I mentioned Nyegenye because his name is in the report.
No.
But I just wanted to say,
Your wisdom should be able to guide you on those.
thank you. You are almost an elder like me, almost. I wish you many years. Mr. Speaker, they almost destroyed Dr. Martin Luther King. When they failed, they shot him. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, honorable senators, there was a great child of Africa whose parents went to the US as slaves. And the only thing the little boy knew was that he could box. And he became probably, arguably, the best boxer in the mega history of boxing. Mike Tyson was destroyed by an allegation of sex. Mr. Speaker, Mason Greenwood, one of the most talented teenagers in football from the Manchester United Football Academy, was almost destroyed because of a mere allegation of sex. And do you know what the lawyers told Mason? They told him, go and marry that girl. The girl has a son with Greenwood. She is Greenwood's wife. Can I just conclude? I'll take it. She's Greenwood's wife, but busybodies of gender and things, they keep on pushing until Greenwood is unable to kick a ball for a whole 1 year. Finally, Mr. Speaker, finally, even the people think are devils. I'm a private and confessed admirer of the courage and openness of former President Donald Trump. To destroy Donald Trump, they played the sex card. We have to stop this. Because, Mr. Speaker, sir, the word sex is in this report, that's why I'm using it. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have to stop it, because without sex, none of us would be in this house. We are products of sex.
So, Senator Boni, I can see, Senator Boni,
Yes.
I can see you have exhausted all your
I accept
issues.
to be informed. I accept.
Okay, now, what is your point?